Welcome to another game review here on Witchfinder's Gaming Vault. Today's game is a Commodore 64 game called Thunder Force. No relation to the Mega Drive shoot 'em up series, it's a completely different game. So let's take a look at the fact file for it. Thunder Force was released in 1987 in Europe. It's published by Racket, which was Houston's budget range. It was coded by Peter Jepsen and Eric Christensen with graphics by Torben Bakager, or Bakager, I don't quite know how you say that name. The price I paid for the game was £3.60 and the current going rate for it on eBay if you want to get yourself a copy is £3 to £5. So let's take a look at Thunder Force in more detail and see if it's any good. Here's a close look at the packaging then, and it's a single cassette case, very bland it has to be said. The text on this is really boring. It says Thunder Force in a red banner and the Commodore 64 in a green sort of L shape. The Racket logo there with the Houston name at the bottom there, although it has to be said that Racket was actually published by Mastertronic, so this is a Mastertronic budget release even though it doesn't bear their name in any place on the packaging. The image there, again, really poor really. It's just a bloke shooting with another bloke in the background, an explosion. Very small image in a box on the front, which is otherwise black with the grey diagonal lines on it. And the spine, again, pretty boring, just says Thunder Force in a green box, and again the black with the grey stripes. And on the back we've got a few screenshots, very small, hard to make out, with some kind of scrolling game with some baddies and a big status display on the bottom there. And the overview of the game though is quite comprehensive, and it says, I have to zoom this in the year 2187 a criminal group has taken you and your partner as prisoners in a very deep and cold dungeon. The guards are very human in the beginning, but they see that you're still trying to escape. They start using more powerful weapons to stop you. They call robots, aliens and sledges to help them stop you. As the game proceeds, the attackers try harder and harder to stop you. Do you feel like they're trying to stop you? I don't know, I'm not quite getting that vibe from this. So you've been captured because of some top secret information about underground chemical factories. The bandits are running, try to avoid the deadly sledges, the aliens, the bullets. This is very repetitive. Again, security guards, aliens, sledges, lots of stuff trying to stop you. They're trying to stop you and you're trying to get out is basically the summary of that. So there's the cassette I'm about to load in. Very simplistic again. It's a white label with black text with just the name of the game and the Racket logo on. So let's move to the inlay, and unfortunately the inlay's fallen apart on this one. But I don't think there's much in this part of it anyway. No, that's just the credits. So let's just move on to this bit that's broken off from the main part of the inlay. So there you go, Thunder Force by the names of the guys that I've already mentioned are on the intro. And this is just a repeat of what was on the back as far as I can say. The guards are very humane in the beginning until they see that you're trying to escape. They'll start using more powerful weapons, robots, aliens, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's just all the same stuff that was on the back cover. At the bottom there you've got some loading instructions, which we all know if we've ever loaded a game on the Commodore 64. And here are some controls. So player 1 or 2, so it's 2 player simultaneous by the looks of it. Typical moving, and also you use your fists or a gun, or activates a shield if you've chosen it. Playing the game, at the beginning of each level you can only use your fists, but later on you'll find a gun, a shield, stones, they don't sound too dangerous, a ball and a boomerang. So oddly it seems like stones, a ball and a boomerang are more effective than the gun. So I don't know, we'll find out when we load the game up, which is about to happen. So the game's been loading up for a little bit and this has just appeared, so it's not a loading screen as such, it's the instructions for the game. You can see it says you can play in 1 or 2 player mode, some nice music in the background, and now it's going on to tell you how to play the game with the controls. I mean, it's basically just a repeat of what was in the instructions on the inlay, but if you couldn't be bothered to read that, then here you go, here's some more. I don't know what's spitting these instructions out. It looks kind of like a chicken leg. It's a bit bizarre, but it's got some credits on the bottom as well, and wow, I mean, it's really going into detail. Joystick up makes you jump to avoid sledges and reach extra weaponry. Joystick down, you duck, just let you avoid the enemy bullets and also destroy the dangerous sledges. Pressing fire makes you hit you with your fists or releases a shot from your gun. Yeah, I mean, they've gone into a lot of effort here just to display the instructions and sort of spit them out all over the screen from, I mean, is it a chicken leg? That's what it looks like to me. That was all they had to say this time. We hope that you are going to enjoy this game, which took a while to finish. Press
fire to load the game. We'll wait and see once more. Okay, well let's press fire. So what happens next? Oddly, it then resets the C64 and asks you to press play on tape again to load the rest of the game in, which is quite peculiar and a really odd way of doing things. It doesn't even start loading the rest of the game, you actually have to press play and load it yourself. So slightly odd, but there we go. Let's press play and load the rest of the game in. Okay, so the game's loaded now, and as you can see, here's a title screen. Two quite ugly drawn faces on there, left and right. Black background, there's some nice music in the background. The music in this game, by the way, is by Johannes Bjerregaard, who did the music for one of my favourite bits of music ever, Special Agent, the Firebird game that I reviewed some time ago. Unfortunately, he passed away last year. Very sad to hear that. Fairly young age, he was in his late 50s I think, so I was very saddened to hear that. He did some great music for the Commodore 64. I don't think this tune or the tune-in game on this is quite as good as Special Agent, but it is still decent tune. Yeah, other things to note about this title screen, it scrolls along, it's got the programming credits and things like that on it, and also it gives you some options. You can push left and right to choose whether you want music, effects or both, so I'll have both, and also up and down chooses whether you want one or two simultaneous players. Well, it'll be one for me obviously. It's also got a high score table, and weirdly, as you'll have just seen, it kind of counts up to 20 for some reason. I've got no idea why. Just every so often it'll pop up a count up on the left and right hand side of the scrolling bit. Here we go. Yeah, why? I've got no idea, but it does. So that's pretty much it for the title screen. I think it's reasonably well done. As I say, the music's decent. It could be a bit more colourful perhaps, but I like the fact you can choose the options and things like that on it. The two faces are you know, reasonably well done, I suppose. I don't know. They seem like they might be slightly digitised or whatever, but yeah, just varying shades of yellow and brown to depict those faces. So there's not much more to say about it other than let's just get started, I think. Okay, so unsurprisingly we start in level 1 and zone 1, and it's a scrolling fighting game. You move from left to right. It's kind of like Kung Fu Master, I suppose. There's no moving in and out of the screen, it's just on a single plane, and you have to fight off all these enemies and make your way to the end of the level. I've lost a life already while I was talking there. This game is hard. Let's get that out of the way right from the start. Every enemy takes several shots, several hits to destroy. One thing that is good is that your health does actually replenish, but what's bad is that every time an enemy kind of walks past you, you lose some health, and it's hard to fight them off before they start running past you and draining your energy. Eventually they do start shooting at you as well. We'll see if that happens in this level, but in terms of graphics, pretty nice. I mean, they're nicely animated, the enemies. They've got, I don't know why they've got grey faces, but they have, and everyone's head looks the same. The bodies are different colours. Obviously my guy's green, the enemies are either blue or brown. The backgrounds are quite nicely drawn, kind of a futuristic setting. I think it said it was in like 2187 or something like that, so still very far in the future. They did kind of future-proof themselves by not making it like 2007, which would now be in the past, of course. I've already lost 2 lives. It's pretty repetitive. You just kind of walk along punching. Eventually you will see other kinds of enemies. As mentioned in the instructions, you get these sledges that come along that you have to jump over, and also the sort of enemies that'll shoot at you and things like that. But there's a massive missile in the background there, because it's the future and why not. In terms of the status display at the bottom there, it's got the score, it's got a time limit which is counting down. I think it started at 300. Score wise, you get 1 point for hitting an enemy, and then another point for hitting them again, and then 10 points I think for, I think there's another life, 10 points for actually destroying them. So it's got some nice music in the background, and also some sound effects. That was optional. You could have, there we go, jumped over the sledge. That was the first sledge. I managed to jump over it. Usually they hit me and I die. So yeah, you lose a life outright if a sledge hits you, so that's bad news. If one comes on from the right hand side of the screen and you're quite close to the edge, it can hit you before you even reacted to it. So What have I got left? Still got 2 lives left. We'll see how I get on. But yeah, it is very samey of just walking along, punching the bad guys and trying not to get hit by them. Oh, that's a weird little thing, like a guy comes out of a, I think it's a guy, or it might just be a jet of steam comes out of a manhole below you. I think you get that if you dwell for too long, or it might just be random, I'm not sure. Definitely doesn't happen in the same time every stage, so I've only got 1 life left now. So yeah, it's difficult because, as I say, they walk past you, they can drain quite a lot of your health just walking past you. They don't really attack you as such, they just kind of walk into you, the bad guys. But yeah, they're endless respawning bad guys as well, by the way, so you just have to keep going and hope for the best that you can get to the end of the stage. Which is probably not going to happen in this playthrough. Nope, there we go, that's game over. So I can't even make out on the screen the text for the status bar stuff is a little bit hard to read, but I got a score of something, so let's put my name in with the scrolly text that you do for putting your name in. There we go. So let's see how I did there. Now I'll see the high score table in a moment. It's coming, promise you, it's coming soon. Here we go, top 20. I got 1,322 points. There's that counting up, because why not? That is the weirdest thing of this game. Why is it doing that? Yeah, so I'm going to play again. I'm going to try and get towards the end of the level. I'll resume when I'm some way through the game, because I mean, you've already seen pretty much all you're going to see in terms of graphics and what have you. So yeah, play through a little bit off camera, so to speak, and then restart it when I get a little bit further through. Okay, so I've made some progress into the game again, lost a couple of lives. The sledge came along from the right hand side and got me, and I've also lost a couple of lives from just fighting, or being walked into would be more accurate, because they're not really fighting me, they're just kind of walking at me. So yeah, I think I'm roughly at the point I was when I died last time. So let's see how I get on. I'm doing alright with the health. There is a knack to it, which is to keep trying to make progress. Oh, that guy shot me then. Yeah, he was so close to me I couldn't even react to that, but yeah, it does say in the instructions that eventually they will come and try and shoot you the more progress you make, so that happened. You've no idea which ones are going to shoot you though, so that's not very good. I mean, there was that manhole thing again, but here's a gun, so this is where I can even up the odds a little bit. So now I can shoot the enemies. You do have limited ammo, I think that's the bar at the bottom going down, but that does replenish as well. So now I can do a bit more damage. I don't have to fight anyone now, I can just shoot them, and that does make things a bit easier. Nice to jump the sledge there as well, so that was good. Getting quite close to the end of the stage, I think. I've only done it a couple of times. I don't know why he's firing up as well, but he is. Might be a bug. It's a fairly tedious game, it's fair to say. But I am making a bit of progress, so yay. Still got 1 life left, have I? I don't remember losing a life, but looks like I've only got 1 left now. Oh, I'm at the end of the level now, I think. Okay, here's the end of level boss. I guess it's a robot of some description. I mean, this doesn't look too difficult to dispatch. I'm standing in the right place, it's firing at me, but those bullets are just going over the top of me. As long as I remember to lie down. Yeah, it's moving off. Okay, something happened. Oh, and then the sledge came, and that's game over. That's annoying, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I don't see me playing this again, to be honest. It's not a great game. Maybe it's more fun as a 2-player game, I would say, because with double the firepower, maybe it's easier to fight enemies off unless you get twice as many enemies. So yeah, I don't really see the need to play through that again. I don't know what was going to happen after that. If I'd got to that point with a couple of lives, maybe I'd got a bit further onto the next stage, but yeah, I don't really want to play that again. In terms of whether I'll keep it or not, well, it didn't really cost me a lot, it's not really worth a lot. I might keep it for the time being. Perhaps if I get the chance to play it with 2 players, it might be a more interesting game, but you're certainly not going to see any more of it in this review. I think you get the idea about the game. It's a fairly mundane scrolling beat 'em up that's really quite difficult and quite unfair as well. The biggest problem is just with the enemies kind of running past you and draining your health without any chance to fight them off. So yeah, that's it for this one, I think. If you've got any thoughts about this game, if you've ever played it, then let me know in the video comments, and that'll do for this one.
That's another review done then, and that's got me thinking. I've reviewed a few budget games for the Commodore 64 scrolling beat-em-ups. Has there ever been a good scrolling beat-em-up for the Commodore 64 released at budget price? Because there's that, which wasn't very good. There's Shanghai Warriors that I reviewed not long ago, that was terrible as well. And also Street Warriors that I reviewed when I was doing the Silverbird selection, also a terrible scrolling beat-em-up at budget price. So if there were any good ones, let me know in the video comments. Now of course it's time to pick another game out, and here's the tin. Let's see what we get out of the tin this time. Come on, here we go. Okay, so next time around, another Commodore 64 game, a not particularly unusual one, but just one I've never played before. It's Miner 2049er. So that's what I'll be playing next time around. Thanks very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.